Oh, I thought you were gonna flip off the camera.
I am Alexander Kea the Third, also known as Alika. I am from Waianae, Hawaii, and I am Hawaiian. Okay. Well, I was born in Wailuku, Maui Island. It's where my mom is from. Her and her family is from Lahaina. I was born in Wailuku, and met a guy from Waianae. And then since I was 1 years old, I've been in Waianae pretty much my whole life. Very strong, headstrong family, both sides. My dad is patriarch. My mom's side is more matriarch. So there's a lot of, from what I heard, there's a lot of clashing heads with some of them. There was a couple of times that my parents and my siblings that you didn't really think about that we struggled too much. Actually, not too much at all. According to us, when we were kids, we didn't think about it, but we struggled with a lot of stuff, mostly domestic, like domestic wise. There really was a lot of times where I thought that my family was gonna be broken, and like looking back at it now, there was a lot of times that I always wondered, like, why haven't I seen, like, why are we staying with grandma or Alma or mama's like for so long? Where's mom and dad? Why did we go to different schools at one point? Kind of things. But even some of my dad's siblings, we never saw them for a good number of years after some kind of altercation they had. I can't even remember what it was about, but for about 20 something years, I can honestly say, if it wasn't thanks to social media or anything online, or ambition or into like me wanting to actually see a lot of my family, probably wouldn't be close with a lot of people nowadays from my side, especially the ones that moved out of Hawaii because of whatever happened. I was raised with my parents, my siblings, and we were always close with a lot of people in my family. So we went to always see my grandma when she used to live in Waipio. My grandparents, aunties and uncles, cousins from everywhere on Oahu, and then once in a while on Maui. I try to be as close with my Maui family as much as possible, but since it's harder and harder to go up and see it, I'll see a lot of them. And I'm not very good at remembering people that I'm not really particularly close with. I just like know them by face, name, and like, oh yeah, I know who that is, or whatever. But there was like a lot of times that I just feel like I don't think I want to be part of this family. I didn't feel like I belonged. Because growing up in Waianae, you notice and you see certain parts of your family and then how they grew up and how they're raised around you. You start to feel like that's not you. You try to be, but then I don't feel good. And so, because of that and the way I see my cousins, my aunties, my uncles, I started to gravitate more towards why are they like that and not me, instead of wanting to be more like that because I never understood it. And my dad is like from here too. My dad's, a lot of people know my dad mostly from football and some, I don't know, unspecific situations before or interactions. But just knowing how he is and who he is, I can kind of have an idea about that. And it wasn't always easy. There were some times that he would abuse alcohol. Didn't really take it out on us too much, but even if alcohol wasn't involved, there was just a lot of times that me and my sisters were, one sister, I should say, were disciplined. There's even a time where we had my half brother still living with us, and we had a 10-year gap. And because of my brother and my dad having differences, my brother, when he was 18, he moved to Maui, and he never really came back. He'll visit once in a while, but he never moved back, never came back to this island to see us grow up. And yeah, like I see discipline. There were a couple times that it was like borderline abuse, but that's how a lot of us grew up. So at the time, you look at me, you look at it now, it's like, yeah, that was like that. That was full on abuse. Like, you have no freaking idea how it is nowadays. Oh, that's abuse. Oh, you're bullying my kids. Like, please, please, respectfully, shut up.
So do you talk to your parents regularly?
No,
No?
no. It's I should. Mostly because I miss my mom, and especially after when my grandma passed away this year. Um, my mom was she's a strong woman. She holds it down a lot for us. And, I honestly didn't. Well, I know how she was feeling, but I found out the news. I was going through my own relationship problems, my own personal problems. I found out about my grandma's passing while I was at work. My mom told me, and I was like, I cannot act right now. So I was talking to my mom for a little bit, and then I feel like I never had time to grieve. 'Cause I never got to go to Maui to go to the funeral. Was never able to take off time from work. Honestly, I couldn't afford it either way. My sister, one of my sisters went, and my other sister couldn't go because her baby, my niece, she was only 3-4 months, so she couldn't fly. I think she was just pushing 5. I can't remember. Every time my mom was, at least once in a while, calls or texts me just for something, just to hear from me. And I don't know, sometimes I just haven't felt like I wanted to. I'm just in the mood. I should have.
Are you angry at her for anything?
No, I don't. The difference with my mom and my dad is just that I got my cracks physically from my mom, but I think it's because I know my mom has nobody else from her family that's over here. Everybody else that's not me and my siblings is not blood family. Maybe some here and there, but she's from Maui, so she doesn't have a lot of close family from Maui. But I don't know, with my mom, she doesn't have my brother to be here for her too. I'm her only son that's here for her. Calls me her pohaku, her rock, keep her grounded. She bugged me to go do this and do that all the time because she knew I could do it. She could depend on me.
Are you the oldest?
Out of my parents' my kids, yeah, and my brother is half. He has a different dad.
So would you say that you were the oldest, like in every sense of responsibility?
Pretty much,
Yeah.
and the only boy.
Oh, you're the only boy.
Yeah. So my 2 sisters are both younger, 1 and 3 years apart.
Did your parents have any knowledge about mental health at all?
If they did, they never tried to talk to me about it.
Did your dad ever talk to you about like what you'd go through growing up and what to expect as a man?
Not in the sense that it's really hard to explain, but I would say no. He was hard, yeah, but not maybe emotionally embracing for his own emotions, I guess.
Was he irrational?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and I always thought that was just a one-night thing, but apparently it's not. My dad always told me, man, just don't show their emotions, whether towards each other or to others. This is how it was, and I'm kind of glad I never got it, like, started behaving like that. Actually, I wouldn't think I'd be me if I was like that.
Did he have any close friendships?
Oh
Did he
yeah,
have
yeah,
solid friendships?
yeah. He had a lot of good friends. one in particular, I think that hurt him the most. Like, honestly, hurt him the most was my uncle Danny. He was our dentist growing up. He cleaned our teeth for free every year, and he actually did a lot of things to go out of his way for like our birthdays and be there. He was always at our house. We were always at his house, and then but my dad was invited so we can go over to his house one night. My dad said like he didn't feel like going. He didn't feel good, and that was the last time we heard from him. Got a call on the next morning. And he said that he never woke up, and I think that really broke my dad. Like, I only see my dad cry like a handful of times in my life, and that was one of them. My dad was my dad. That's all I always knew it. Still love him.
Did he grow up in a two-parent household?
Yeah.
Hawaiian style family?
My grandpa is from here, and my grandma is actually from Molokai. I feel like there's a falsity of identity here. I feel like a lot of people are just really trying to be something that they're not because that's what they want to be. But you can tell it's not really who they are. You can tell who tries super hard to be tantaran. You can see who tries to be tough, and you can actually see who actually is not trying to be like that because they know how they really are. Or like down here, they didn't feel like Polynesian or Hawaiian really meant anything. Yeah, that's what I was called. Yeah, that's what I am. But living here never helped me find that identity, and that's like one of the things that people are trying to look for. They're trying to find themselves, their identity. Why am I like this? Why am I like that? And it's like I went through almost half of my life not knowing what the hell my identity meant to me, and it sucks because I started learning everything about Hawaiian so late in life, and even now I'm trying to learn a lot of things. I'm looked up as a person of knowledge for my community now. I mean, when it comes to social media, but back then I kind of just feel like I wish I knew how to speak my language when I was growing up. Would have been nicer to know it. I wish I knew this. I wish I did hula or some other practices, like more full on, hands on and everything. The only thing I did was make laulau. Waianae was just more to help me get ready for being part of local community, not Hawaiian community.
Do you think there's anything wrong with that?
No.
Did you wish it was different?
I wish I wish people could actually just start to not just only local, but like don't forget who you are, but there's a lot of you that is you. Embrace those too. Like, you may not like that small part of you that's Chinese or Filipino or Irish or Spanish or Puerto Rican or even Nicaragua, whatever that country is on the other side of the world, whatever that small little itty bitty part of you is, that's still you. Know about it. Do something. Like, I get the diversity and the melting pot of local culture, but it's like, don't forget the parts that made it like that. Don't forget the communities that actually, this is where your grandma is. Your grandma's not even Hawaiian, she's Filipino. Or don't forget that your grandpa is this and what he did because of where he came from. It's knowing different parts of you, not just one full part of you that, here, I'm local. I'm a local. I'm from Waianae. I'm a Waianae local. What else? Specifically what? I'm a Hawaiian mix, Hawaiian Waianae local. What else do you mix with? Chinese, Irish, Filipino. Okay. Who do you know? What family member did that come from? What part? Oh, my great grandma. She married an Irish man, and she had pake. Like breaking down. You can answer who you are basically as much as you can, as specific as you can. That's what I wanted, and that's why I wish this community would be like that too. And it's not very prominent in here.
Do you think locals specifically look at anything other than Hawaiian, Samoan, Fijian, Tahitian? Like, if you're not Polynesian, then it's not relevant?
I say that's a case by case.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think it's fair to generalize that. Yeah, sure, there are some, but I don't think it's really fair to say that it's suddenly like that. And if it is, it's really dumb.
You learned about your culture yourself,
No.
correct? No?
I learned about my identity, but I did have help and inspiration along the way from other people,
Okay.
many different people.
So, what about speaking Hawaiian? Do you speak Hawaiian?
Not as well as I would like. I do try. It's easier for me to type it out, but to speak, I'm not a very clear speaker. A lot, I do mumble, and I do keep my I do try to speak as clear as I can, because to hear it sounds clear, but to the listener, maybe not so much.
Oh, yeah.
But it is easier for me to write Olelo Hawaii than to wala'au it out.
Did you teach yourself?
No, I actually went to school to help with trying to speak Hawaiian. That's usually like a requirement. You have to have at least 2 years of some kind of language to graduate. So like, what other language do I want to learn? What am I going to use Spanish for? Or, now looking at it, Japanese does sound kind of cool.
Do you believe we should change the terms given to us by our European counterparts? So Polynesia, Melanesia, Micronesia?
Yes and no.
Can you explain?
Yes, we should change it because we should be adding our own terms and changing the way that those terms really mean. No, because we should know all aspects of the different perspectives of what those terms are supposed to mean. It's like you can't know a story or you can't know anything without looking at it from different angles, like as much information as you can. It's kind of like how it's the opposite of what they actually are doing now. They want to group us as, Polynesians, because that's not our word, that's their word. They're just grouping us up to make it easier for them to define what the ethnic race is going to be.
Do you think that colonization was necessary for the survival of its people?
No. There's a thing called cultural exchange. There's a thing called treaties, allegiances. There's a thing called being a good neighbor. State Farm is there, all that stuff. It wasn't necessary. Colonizers are only, their point and goal is to just take over another place that they can use for themselves, not for the exchange of others. It wasn't. This generation is not really soft. It's just that a lot of shit is just being called out and is just being seen more. So I think it's just, anybody that says that this generation is soft, it's a different time. Back then, it was different times, different laws, different rules, different things, different aspects of life. Everything was different. And it didn't apply back then. Things only apply now. Like, we didn't know what ADHD was. We didn't even know it was real. We just thought it was just a kid being mental, not listening, hyperactive, whatever. Now we know what it is because it's identified. Maybe that's just what it really was. We just didn't know at the time. Times change, and with that, you cannot be the same. It's either you change with time, or time's gonna force you to change. I think it's because people were always more sympathetic instead of empathetic back then. I think people are more empathetic nowadays, and yeah, like I said, they're just more aware about what's going on because of social media, and people are just getting caught up with their BS now. I don't think it's soft. I think everyone was just hard-headed. Learn as much as you can. Don't grow up so fast. Because once you grow up, there's no going back. It sucks being an adult sometimes. Like, you see some of us adults, like your aunties and uncles, or your mom and dad drinking like 2 o'clock in the morning, karaoke in the garage. You know why we do that? Because we're miserable majority of the week. We're trying to get through have some kind of fun in our lives because we have to balance all the hard work we gotta do. How many early mornings we have, how many times we gotta go work and bust ass, go through traffic, all that kind of stuff. Don't think because we look happy, it doesn't mean that we're always happy with our lives. We're just trying to balance it out and make it worth living. Learn as much as you can. Enjoy your childhood as much as you can for it, as long as you have it. And build a character for yourself. That if there's like one advice I can give to anybody is build a character so that when anything is said against you, rumors, whatever the case may be, no one can question it. I don't care how dire of a situation is. If somebody accused you of something, your character should be enough by hearing your name that somebody can say, "Oh no, there's no way like that." Never let anybody doubt who you are, or what you do, or what your name is, because your character always spoke for yourself. Build your character. I'm Alika, Tiho and Blanca, and I represent Polynesia.